Hello guys, welcome to the channel. Now this one's been a long time coming. I was tagged in one of these YouTube sort of tag along sort of videos some time ago and I just didn't get around to doing it. Why? Because I sort of struggled with it simply because I sort of created the top 10 and then it all changed because I thought, oh yeah, what about this and this, and it was a difficult one. And this is my top 10 favourite 1980s films. So it's chopped and changed for about nearly a month. So I was tagged about a month ago. It was that while ago. I can't even remember who it was that tagged me, and I'm so sorry. But yes, and it's been going around and going around, but it's been a really difficult one to do, like I said, because everything changes in the 80s, because it was the era when cinema was at that stage where, because of VHS came into life and home video came into life, movies were then sort of like prolific, and so it's really difficult to sort of choose one kind of movie, you know, out of everything, and it just went changed around and around and around. So I just got my doggy here playing about. So it was quite a difficult top 10 to do. As you know, I'm a massive horror fan. But I wasn't when I was at this age. I was probably in my sort of teens, getting towards my 20s. I was into other films as well. I wasn't just into horror films. Horror was my go-to, and it still is, and it always will be. But some sort of films became really personal to me, especially in the 80s, because I got into film because of home video. I could go out to Video Choices and buy an ex-rental film and watch this film, own a film. It was the first time we actually owned films. See, before then we only watched them on TV when it came on at Christmas, or the cinema if we were lucky, you know. So that's why I got into music, because records were available, right? But there wasn't movies. But then VHS came along, and so home video brought movies closer to the heart, especially for people that have a way of collecting physical media. So it was been a difficult top 10 to do, but I finally whittled it down to 10 now, and it will probably change. It will probably change, but at the moment these films are attached to my heart because I love them so much. But because the honourable mention list was getting out of hand, I've scrubbed it. So there's no honourable mentions in this. We're just going to go through my 10 favourite films of the 1980s. So I hope you're ready for this. So here we go.
Hell yeah.
Right, so here we go, guys. Here is my top 10 favourite movies of the 1980s. Just be aware, they're not all horror. There is a number of horror films in here, but a lot of these films I had sort of like an emotional sort of drawing to, because they were amazingly crafted and great, well-acted films. And we're starting off with a biggie, well, a Martin Scorsese film. It's not what you think it is. It is, in fact, starring William Dafoe, and it is The Last Temptation of Christ. Really loved this film. I watched this film over and over and over when I had it on VHS. Now, I was watching BBC Nationwide, I think it was, because that was a program that was like a sort of topical program that was on after news on the evenings, and they were talking about the controversy of this film, where religious groups were absolutely in uproar over it, because it sort of tackles a question if Jesus actually had relations with a female sort of thing, and it goes down that line. It's a really cool film. It stars William Dafoe's Jesus. I believe David Bowie's in the film. I think he might be playing Pontius Pilate. I can't remember. But anyway, it's an amazing film. So the controversy drew me to it, because I was in that sort of that age, you know, when I was like liking stuff that was against everything, that rebelled and all that sort of thing, and this was one of them. And I watched this off the back of watching Pink Floyd's The Wall, because I watched that in the 80s. I know that was probably before then, but I watched it then, and that was quite controversial at the time. And I watched this afterwards, and I just thought, wow, that was just so amazing. Really cool film, and it is really cool. Great film. So my number 10 favourite film of the 80s is Last Temptation of Christ. Really cool film. Told you it's not all horror. It really isn't. Got another major director up at number 9. We have the incredible Sir Richard Attenborough with his film with Ben Kingsley as Gandhi. So this is my number 9. Now this is an epic film that I saw at the cinema about 3 or 4 times. I had to see repeated viewings of it because I loved it so much, and I was getting value for money because this is over 3 hours long. It's about 3 hours 30, something like that. In fact, at the cinema they had a break in the middle. It just went screen, it said intermission, because it was that long, and there was like a 10-15 minute break for people to go to the toilet or buy more refreshments, whatever, because it was that long. And it was epic. It was absolutely stunning. It tells the story of Mahatma Gandhi. It's a true story, and it's a biography of his life and his peaceful fight for peace and to get India back away from the British Empire. And it sort of tackles that sort of journey that you went through. Really cool film, amazing film. So number 9 is Gandhi. I went 3 or 4 times to see that at the cinema, but this next one, I went 7 days in a row. I went to the cinema 7 days in a row to see this. And it's a film starring Tom Conti, Rishi Sakamoto and David Bowie, and it's Merry Christmas, Mr. Lawrence. Fantastic film. No, it's not a Christmas film. It's actually a Japanese prisoner of war film based in this prisoner of war camp, where we have Tom Conti, who's leading a group of English prisoners under the sort of like rulings of Rishi Sakamoto's command, Captain Onoi. And David Bowie is the new sort of, he plays Jack Selliers, who's like a new sort of arrival into the camp. And Captain Onoi has sort of feelings for him. He's sort of drawn to him and wants to sort of protect him. And it's sort of almost like a love story's trying to happen, and David Bowie instigates it. And because Captain Onoi, he's from a strong sort of samurai belief, he knows it's wrong, so he represses his feelings, and it then sort of like becomes well, he's got no choice but to sort of like, you know, to almost punish, if you like, Jack Selliers sort of character. I don't want to go into it because I don't want to spoil it, but it's an amazing character study of people's ways in a place of war, and how relationships can form between people unexpectedly, even if it's forbidden. It's an amazing film, Merry Christmas, Mr. Lawrence. Really cool. I love the film, and that is my number 8 favourite film of the 1980s, Merry Christmas, Mr. Lawrence. Number 7 is a film by Jimmy Murakami, and it's an animated film, and it's called When the Wind Blows. You could class this as a horror film as such. It is kind of like a horror film because it is based after an atomic bomb that's landed in Britain. Sorry guys, and it's about this couple here trying to survive an atomic explosion, and they follow all the advice they're given to nail a door to the wall and sort of like shield under it, and it's about their succumbing to it and the awful things that they suffer going towards like from this atomic explosion. It really brings it to home and to heart. It's a harrowing watch for a cartoon, but it's also very cool. Now, this is by Raymond Briggs, the one who brought you The Snowman and Father Christmas. Before that, he brought you a Nuclear War. So, and it's a really cool and really sad, but very well-crafted film. And I highly recommend anyone to watch this. But do just remember, it's going to be sad, like Watership Down, those sort of animated films with a sad sort of story. This is along those sort of lines, so just be prepared going into it. But it's an amazing film. When the Wind Blows is my number 7. You know my top 5 is going to be horror heavy, don't you? You just know it. But there we go. Number 6 is a comedy directed by Bill Forsyth, and I've talked about this film so many times on my channel and how much I love it. It stars Gordon Sinclair and Claire Grogan, and it's Gregory's Girl. It's my favourite comedy, probably one of my, definitely my top 5 comedies of all time. It's definitely up there. It's fantastic. It's an adolescent love story, a very early rom-com, but in Scotland, if you will, and it's incredible. Gregory, who's mad about football with his friends, and he's also falling for girls now. He's mad about girls, but he's not getting anywhere with any of them. And then a young girl comes along and joins the football team, and Gregory's besotted by her. But I don't think she feels the same way. But there is a girl in the classes that does like him, and the girls sort of work together to sort of edge this girl and Gregory together. It's such a cool film. It plays out really well. It's so funny. A wonderful cast. An amazing film. Highly recommend if you want just a good fun, feel good Scottish rom-com. Gregory's Girl is my 6th favourite film of the 1980s. So the top 5, and I'd say 4 of these are horror. But this is when I was starting to get into horror, so I can't help it. So all these hold real personal memories to me. They really do. Number 5, we've got a John Landis film, and so you know what that's going to be. And it is American Werewolf in London. An incredible film. Incredible werewolf film. Probably the best werewolf film ever made, still in my humble opinion. It's got great black comedy on there. It's got an amazing cast. You'll see people turn up out of nowhere in the film. Brian Glover, Rick Mayall, you know, amongst all of the stars that turn up in this film. It's about 2 American tourists up in the Yorkshire moors going on holiday. They come to this pub called the Slaughtered Lamb, and they want to have something to eat, but they're not very welcoming because it's a local pub and they're not locals. And so they get sent off on their way, and beware of the moors, stick to the path. But they accidentally scroll onto the moors, and one of them gets attacked by a werewolf. And the other one gets bitten by a werewolf. So one dies and the other one's got the curse. And then they get taken to London, to the hospital to be treated for their wounds. The American guy falls in love with the local nurse, and then all these wonderful and horrible things happen in London. It's incredible. Absolutely iconic, amazing film. One of the greatest films ever made, surely. Number 5 is American Werewolf in London. It's my favourite horror film, my favourite movies of the 1980s. Now, this is a legendary film in the Noodle Legs history, as I've told the story many times about when I saw this at the cinema. So number 4 is George Romero's Day of the Dead. So when I went to see this at the cinema, the bit when the zombie stands up from the hospital sort of stretcher and his guts fall on the floor, I was sick. Not in the actual screen. I was on a date with a girl and I had to go to the toilet and I threw up in the toilet. I'm not ashamed. It was the first time I really experienced horrendous gore on the big screen. Everything else I'd seen had been on VHS, but I saw this on the big screen and it made me sick. But I loved the film so much, so much. So when I went back in, I enjoyed the rest of the film. There's even gorier bits when the captain gets torn apart and stuff. But just that bit just took me by surprise, and it's an iconic film from my history. So number 4 is Day of the Dead by George Romero. Number 3 is a kind of Cold War kind of film starring William Hurt and Lee Marvin, and it's Gorky Park. Story about a murder that happened in Gorky Park. Of these people's bodies were found underneath the snow in Russia, and it's a sort of spy Cold War sort of thriller film, and it really unfolds at a sort of slow pace but at a really sort of gripping pace, and it's absolutely amazing. Really well acted film. So cool. When I saw this, I didn't like it, first of all, because it was so slow, but then I gave it a go again. I saw it at the cinema and I didn't like it, but when it came out on VHS, I then purchased it as an ex rental, because I remember I used to do that. If I saw it in the cinema, I would buy it. And so I gave it another go and watched it over a couple of nights, and I enjoyed it a lot more. And then as I've got older, as my tastes have matured, I realised what an incredible film it is, and it is amazing. That's why it's so bleeding high in my top 10. Number 3, Gorky Park. Number 2, I'm sorry, it's number 2. I'm sorry, Linda, but it's number 2. Bastard! 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 It was going to be number 1, but yeah, Pieces. It was my real introduction to, this is when I started to really discover European horror. So this is a Spanish film. I've seen some Italian films before this, Tenebrae, I'd seen Suspiria, I had seen Demons 1 and 2. So I loved that, that these Italian or European films were more explicit. And then I saw Pieces, and I just absolutely fell in love with the film. It's a cult film. I saw this about 86, 87. It came out about 82. So I'm a little bit late to the party, but I picked it up as an ex-rental. I remember the day I bought it because I bought Just Before Dawn as well as an ex-rental VHS. And I fell in love, and I bought this as well because I liked the cover, because it looked like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And I thought, oh, well, this it's not the actual Chainsaw Massacre, but it's going to be a chainsaw. And it was incredible. Absolutely amazing. Really cool film about a killer. It's a sort of giallo-esque kind of slasher film where the killer's not wears the black gloves and everything like a giallo, and he's going around killing these high school kids, very gorely, and there's a lot of story going on, and we also have great characters in there. In fact, the police rely on the young kid to solve the crime for them, pretty much. And it's an amazing film. It's such a good watch. So Pieces is my second favourite film of the 80s. So number 1 has to be a legend, doesn't it? It has to be two legends together. It has to have two ingredients: John Carpenter and Kurt Russell. So the Thing, to me, is the greatest film of the 80s. It was absolutely amazing. I saw this in the cinema on release about 3 or 4 days after it came out. I went at the weekend to see it, fell in love with the film. I think I bought it twice on VHS. I had the big box version, ex-rental, and then I had one of those cheaper ones. I think it's called Full Front, where with like a gold rim round it. I had one of them as well on VHS, and I bought on DVD, then I've had it on Blu-ray a couple of times, and I've had it on 4K. So it's one of those films that's been with me all my entire life. It's an amazing film. Kurt Russell plays MacReady. It's directed by John Carpenter. It's about a scientific group out in the Arctic, and there's an alien loose about in the camp that manages to integrate itself into someone. So each person turns into this alien, and it's about who is it sort of things, and it plays on people's paranoia. It's absolutely wonderful. It's such a cool film. So my favourite film of the 80s is The Thing. And you have no idea how hard this video was. But thank you very much again for tagging me in this. Now, I'm not going to tag anyone in this one, but what I'm going to say, if you watch this video, consider yourself tagged. And please show us your favourite 10 of the 80s. Massive shout out to my lad. See you soon, guys.